Shalom. This is lesson 4, the first part. Later, I'll come back tonight, tomorrow, later this week sometime, and do the second half. And that will be a review of things. Oh, my poor howly kitty. But this is some new stuff here right now. And most of it is going to be involving this word up here, yalad. And you've heard that a lot in meetings. Of course you want attention now. You've been silent for 4 hours. And it means to bear, to beget, to give birth to, almost anything like that. This is the he begat form, or it could also just be the 3-letter root. And from it, I'm going to shift just that one line where it has kind of a glare. Yeled. That means a boy, because a boy is what you beget. And I've mentioned this before as well, but when you have the 2 segols, you don't put the accent on the second syllable or on the last syllable like you do with most words. It's not yeled or melech or negev or any of those words that have those 2 S sounds. The accent's towards the beginning of the word. So this is yeled, yalad, but yeled. And then scooting it back. Okay. This is yalda, yalda. That means daughter, or girl, excuse me, boy and girl. Daughter would be bat. Anyway, and notice that under the lamed here, there's the shava. So it comes to kind of a stop there. Yalda. It's not yaleda or yalada. It's yalda. So that's boy, that's girl. This is a word. You can see that there's a vav here. The vavs and the yods in words get intermixed. So you'll have one switch to the other all the time. This is tol, there's the shava again, tol dot. But if you think of that as the yod, here's the, of course I erase it. So here is that 3-letter root. And what does this mean? It's a feminine word because this is a plural ending. Ot is a feminine ending. Im is the masculine ending for plurals. And there are all kinds of exceptions to things, like the word father in Hebrew is av. But if you're going to have more than one, it's not avim, it's avot with the feminine ending. But it's still a masculine word. They're just all these little aberrations like in any language. But if you had just one of these, it'd be tolda. And that could be the result of what comes out is kind of how it would be used today in modern Hebrew. The result, not profit, not like business, but the end result of things. But in biblical Hebrew, it would mean generations. What is the product of all your begetting? It's the generations that come after you. Kitty, can you be quiet? I can even hear my daughter down the hall saying, I hear you. Okay, so this toldot is generations, and it comes from this root. Here is a word that you'll run into a lot. It's another one of these little words, ele, and it means these, These. And you'll usually find it, although we're going to look at a spot in a minute where it's not used this way. This is normally how you will see it. Here's toldot again, but it has the ha in front, so it's the generations. Ha toldot, ha ele. So as you're reading it, it's like saying the generations, these. And that would mean these generations. Now that's when you're using ele as kind of an adjective. If you're using these as a noun, it's not going to look quite like this. But anyway, you'll see that in a minute. So going back over, yalad means to beget, to bear, to give birth, to sire, anything like that. Yeled is boy, yalda is girl. Don't have the singular there, but tolda would be one generation. Toldot is how you're usually going to see it, generations. Ele is these. And if you see a phrase like this, anything, ha, something, plural, these. It just means these, whatever. So here are I mentioned that im and ot are the masculine and plural endings. Here are the masculine and plural endings for yeled and yalda. Here's the im, and it's the plural of yeled, but notice that the vowel markings are all different. Yeled is one, yeladim, with the accent on the end again, yeladim is boys, more than one. Yalda is one girl, yeladot is girls, plural. The accent changes a little. The vowels change all over the place. In English, we're used to just adding prefixes or suffixes or another word to change the meaning, but the vowels change a lot. The internal change is in Hebrew, and you just have to hear those little nuances. Let's see. Oh, so this is, I guess, another, I wrote this a little while ago. Ha-yeladim ha-ele, these boys, or these children, because as with any other masculine and feminine division in Hebrew, the masculine, this would be one boy. You wouldn't have one boy. Of course, phone call. Sorry about that. But if you have a group of boys and girls, you would call them yeladim. This would include both. So it's either boys or boys and girls. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is go into the Hebrew Tanakh. And if you have one, great, pull it out. If you have some form on your phone, pull it out. It would take a long time for me to keep writing and erasing what we're going to do. So if you don't have one of those things, I encourage you to stop, pause this. Well, I'll tell you where to go first and then pause it. Go to mechonmamre.org. That will be, let's see, can you see all of that? Okay. That is an online version of the Tanakh, and it will have Hebrew on one side and English on the other. It's the whole Tanakh. And it looks a little different on the phone than it does on a PC or Mac. So I'm not sure what you'll be looking it up on, but if you go there, either right at the top, or if you scroll down, it's more on the top, I think, on the PC or Mac, and you have to scroll down just a little bit and read some stuff. But you're going to look for the place where it has the Tanakh, where it says parallel Hebrew and English. And I guess you don't really even need the English, you just need the Hebrew, but you might want to see the Hebrew and the English together. And then once you get that far in either one, the Tanakh is divided into 3 parts. It's not the same order of books as in our Old Testament. So it will have the Torah first, and then it will have the prophets, and then it will have the writings. You're going to the writings. And once you get into writings, you're going to the book of Ruth. And once you get to the book of Ruth, you're going to go to chapter 4. And we're going to go through 5 verses in the book of Ruth. It is not going to be hard. They're going to be very repetitive. You're going to see how easy this will be in just a moment. But go ahead, and whether you look it up at this website, some other website, some other access you have, go ahead and do it. And you don't need to see me at this point. So either on your phone or on your laptop or whatever, you should be able to pull up that website, and you can hear me, minimize YouTube or something, and hear me in the background, but you don't need to see me because you're just going to be looking at the Tanakh. So go ahead and pause here, and I'm going to pull my PC over so I can read it too. So I'm going to assume you guys are all ready to go. Now, I'm used to reading Hebrew, to myself silently, not out loud, and I'm always pulled up short a little bit when somebody asks me, could you read that passage? Give me just a sec, because I'm not used to pronouncing it that much, not out loud. So I will be going slowly. And the main reason we're doing this is so that you can practice pronouncing some of these combinations of letters. None of this is doctrinal. None of this will, you're going to hear these are the generations of, and so begat so-and-so, and so begat so-and-so. It's going to be these words and a bunch of names. And another reason, besides just pronouncing things, is to introduce the idea of names and places in Hebrew, because that's really confusing. Just this week, in fact, I can't even remember what it was. I was trying to think where I was looking at this, but I was trying to read some things in Hebrew, some verses, without looking at the English translation. And I'm reading it, and we're trying to read it, and I thought, I can pick out this word, I can pick out that word, and that looks like a verb that means so-and-so, but I have no idea what form of the verb it would be, and it doesn't seem to fit with the rest of the sentence. Not that I get that much of the sentence. And I finally just gave up, said, I have no idea what I'm reading, and I looked it up. Oh, these are people's names and places. That's why I didn't recognize them. And that is going to be, at least for me, it has been a continuing stumbling block. It gets better, but just because these are not words that you can recognize, and if it's a name like Moshe, Aharon, or a place like Canaan, Bethel, Lechem, things like that you recognize, then you can tell that's a place or a name. If it's something a little bit obscure, or it's not mentioned more than once or twice, or it's a person that really didn't have any big role, it's going to be confusing. You're not even going to know what you're looking at. So that's what we're doing here. So we're going to start with verse, 18. And it says, Va'ele. So here's these and these. The va means and, just like it would anywhere else. And instead of saying hatoldot ha'ele, this one says Va'ele toldot, because these, in this sense, means it's a noun. It's a pronoun being used as a noun. It's not just describing. Oh, great. It's not just describing the generations. And you have to supply some words there to make it work out well in English. All it says is these, and these generations parets. That doesn't, if you translate that, it's and these, and your translation might be now these. The va for and can get translated a lot of different ways. Now these, or and these generations parets. So you have to supply some words. And these are the generations of parets. Then it's the next word is parets, but it has a vowel change. I have no clue why. I don't know why it's different. There isn't a prefix or a suffix or anything that would make the word have to sound a little different, but it's written a little different. And I just have to assume that this is one of those places where there wasn't an orthodox prescribed way to spell words, kind of like the Pilgrims in America. They could spell words any way it sounded right. So we now have things standardized with a dictionary, but they didn't. and I'm sure they didn't have a dictionary they looked at to learn how to spell words in Hebrew. And sometimes you'll find words that one time it'll have just the holem over letter, another time it'll have a holem vav. Sometimes it'll change from a hey on the end to an aleph on the end, but it's still pronounced ah. So there'll be some things that you'll run into like that. Anyway, back to the verse. Now, these are the generations of Peretz. And the reason you have the English there, just so you can see how the name changes a little bit when you get it into English. So it's Perez is how we're looking at it in English. Then Peretz holid et Hetzron. Okay. Holid. You can look at that and see that there's a vav, like here, a vav, a lamed, then there's a yod, and a dalet. That is a form of the verb called the hifil, and it won't change how you're reading this. The hifil means that it's what they call it causative, and a way to see that easily is like with the verb bo. I mean, we sing bo Yeshua bo, come. We know that bo means come if you've sung that song. Well, if you wanted to make bo a hifil verb, it would turn out like he be or something. It'd look very similar, but it would sound very different. And that would mean to cause to come. Now, if I'm going to cause somebody to come somewhere, what do? I haul them, I drag them, I bring them. And so that's what the hifil does. It changes it to something that the speaker made happen. So this is the hifil for Yalad. And it means he caused to be begotten. But in our thoughts, to cause to be begotten or to beget aren't really different actions here. So you just translate it, begat, or whatever you have there, or it might even say in your translation, if you're not looking at this particular website, Perez was the father of Hezron. It might be put a bunch of different ways, but that's why you're going to see holy. I'm sure there's some beautiful nuance as to why that particular form was chosen, but I don't know it. So anyway, okay, so Perez, and then you have holid et Hetzron, because when you have a proper name or a noun with the ha in front of it, you have to have the et marker. So Peretz holid et Hetzron. Verse 19. And the Hetzron holid et Ram. And Hezron begat Ram. The Ram holid et Aminadab. Verse 20. The Aminadab, and take your time to go look that over and make sure you can sound all that out. Aminadab. I told you I'm not used to saying it out loud. Holid et Nachshon. The Nachshon holid et Salma. And that is a scene, isn't it? Yeah. Salma. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even notice that before. So in verse 20, it's Salma. But then when you get to verse 21, it's Salmon. Again, I have no idea why. I just noticed that for the first time. Okay, verse 21. The Salmon holid et Boaz. The Boaz holid et Oved. The Oved holid et Yisai. The Yisai holid et David. And Yisai and Jesse look really different or sound really different. But as you know, there's no J in Hebrew. That's how we get from Yeshua to Jesus. When you come through a Germanic sounding language like English is, then you get the J's. But in Hebrew, it's Yisai. Let's see, was there something else I wanted to point out about that? Seemed like as I was going over it, I thought, I need to mention that. Oh, I know. The numbers down the middle. Um, those bold letters, if you're looking at this website, and if you're looking at something else, it may be different. But on this one, you're going to see letters down the middle. Those are the numbers of the verses. Because the yod means 10. So on 18, it's yod het. So that's the 10th letter and the 8th letter together, making 18. And then on 19, it's yod tet. It's 10 plus 9. And then you get to kaf on 20, and that's just the 20th letter. Then kaf aleph. You know, aleph is the first letter. Kaf is 20, so kaf aleph is 21, and so on. So that's what those are. I think that was all I was going to mention. Like I said, I will come back later. These are your vocabulary words, the things with the yalad, toldot, la, all of those things. I'll probably use them in the review, hint, hint. And I guess that's it for now. So you guys have a good rest of your day. Shalom.